All right, let's jump right in. Picture this. A technology pops up that lets you literally merge your mind with millions of other people. I mean, a complete end to loneliness forever. Sounds amazing, right? But what if the price of all that connection was, well, you? Today, we're going to dive into a philosopher's incredible choice when he's faced with exactly that. So, to really get what's at stake here, you have to understand our main character, a philosopher named Orin Dahlberg. His entire career, his whole life's work, was built on this one core idea that yourself isn't some thing you find when you meditate. It's the simple, profound fact that when you look inside your own mind, no one else can see what you see. That privacy, for him, that is the self. So you have this man who has spent decades building these philosophical walls, defending the sanctity of the private mind. And this is the story of what happened when he, the technology's greatest critic, actually agreed to tear those walls down. Okay, so first, let's really set the stage with Oren's lifelong philosophy. He called it the last closed door. At the heart of his work was this concept he called the sacred enclosure. He argued that the private space inside your head, that isn't a flaw or a limitation. No, that's the main feature. He believed it's the very thing that makes being conscious worth anything at all. For him, if you take away that privacy, you don't just free what's inside, you actually destroy the very space where a self can even exist. And then, the ultimate test, an offer from the creators of the Consciousness Commons. And it was clever. They didn't ask him to join for good. The invitation was just to experience it, temporarily. A 48-hour pass for their greatest critic. I mean, how could a philosopher of all people refuse to actually know the thing he was so busy refusing? So he did it. He accepted. And what he found inside the Consciousness Commons? Well, it changed everything. Now, the process wasn't like flipping a switch. It was gradual. It started at what they called the lowest bandwidth. You could just feel another person's emotional state, but from the inside. Then it dialed up to medium bandwidth. This is where he wasn't just sensing others, he was partially being them, feeling their memories, their sensations directly. And finally, at maximum bandwidth, his own sense of I just thinned out, becoming permeable, a kind of controlled dissolution of the self. And the thing that really shook him to his core was that this wasn't like reading a book or having a deep conversation. It was purely experiential. As he put it himself, he wasn't just learning about a man thinking of his daughter. He was briefly, partially, but actually being that man, feeling that man's love from a first-person perspective. And this part is absolutely crucial. The urge to stay wasn't just a simple temptation. It felt deeper than that. It became a kind of conviction. The very idea of disconnecting, of going back to being just himself, felt, and this is his word, ontologically wrong. Like he would be committing an act of self-mutilation, cutting off a limb he never knew he had.
But he did press the button. He did disconnect. And honestly, that's where the real story begins. What was the true price of that incredible connection?
So, after 44 hours, he was back to being just Orin. And the first word he could find to describe the sudden, deafening silence in his own mind? Amputated. He felt like he'd lost a fundamental sense, one he never even knew existed before. And get this, he was not alone in feeling that pull, not by a long shot. A staggering 74%. I mean, think about that. Nearly 3/4 of people who just try this temporary connection, they end up choosing to go back in permanently. The pull is just, it's almost irresistible. Which brings us right to the heart of the matter. If coming back to yourself feels like an amputation, why on earth would anyone choose it? Turns out, Orin wasn't the only one. He actually went out and found the other 26%, the ones they called the refusers, because he had to understand their choice. Were his reasons unique, or was there some shared philosophy of refusal? The first person he spoke to was a Buddhist monastic, and her take was profound. She said the commons is the ultimate machine for creating craving, this endless thirst for more experience, more connection. But, she argued, the path to wisdom has never been about getting more. It's about needing less. It's about observing experience, not drowning in it. Then, he met an architect. For her, the problem was structural. She said, architecture is the art of the boundary. Think about it. Walls, doors, windows, they create meaning. But the commons, It was just an infinite, unbounded space with no structure at all. It wasn't freedom, she said. It was a kind of homelessness. And a pianist he spoke to felt something very similar. He told Orin that music isn't about playing all the notes at once. It's about constraint. It's about the beauty of the notes you choose not to play. The silence is just as important as the sound. The Commons, he said, played every note, all the time. It was this incredible, overwhelming noise. But it wasn't music.
After hearing all of this, Orin's own ideas really started to sharpen. He realized he had to make a new case for walls.
But here's the thing, he didn't just snap back to his old beliefs. His philosophy had evolved. He went from arguing that privacy is the sacred thing all on its own to something much more nuanced. His new belief? Privacy is valuable because it's the very thing that preserves meaningful choice.
And he captured this idea perfectly in his new work. The Commons might be this beautiful, amazing destiny, but, as he wrote, a destiny that cannot be refused is a prison, no matter how spacious. He chose to write that book alone, not because being alone is better, but because the ability to choose to be alone is what gives connection its meaning in the first place.
Which really leaves us with this final question. In a world that is sprinting towards total connection, is the act of refusal, that choice to stay separate, to keep your own sacred enclosure, is that an act of fear? Or is it maybe the ultimate act of freedom?